Well, I gave him a 9, Skip, because it was a great fourth quarter comeback. And we know, look, I understand that they're playing without Ja, but this is one of the better teams playing without their superstar player. Not very many teams can post the record that they posted without their superstar player. They were 20-5, and I think you mentioned one time they were at one point 20-2, 20-3, and then when they started sitting the rest of their guys, they ended up being 20-5. But 20-5 is an outstanding record. And Skip, they had them dead to right. For whatever reason, through 3 quarters, Steph really couldn't buy a bucket. Clay was struggling. They were just struggling. And it seems like the Grizz were just a little quicker to all the 50-50 balls. They just had it going. And I was like, Steve, we were talking like, well, what happens if the Grizz win? I said the Grizz is not going to win. But it damn sure looked like they were going to win, Skip. And then all of a sudden, the guy that you say, you know what, he owes the Golden State Warriors a fourth quarter. He owes them something. And he showed you why he was Steph in that fourth quarter. 18 points. He was, 8 or 9 from the foul line. He was sensational in the fourth quarter. And they needed everything he had in the fourth quarter. They needed it all. They needed to get stops because Grizz, they had it going. They had it going. Tyus Jones, your guy, came in, and it seemed like every big shot that he needed to make, he was driving the ball, he was shooting the 3. But I'm still trying to figure out, Skip, how does the Warriors, that small-ass team, keep out-rebounding the Grizz? The Grizz were the #1 rebounding team in all of basketball.
Steven Adams returned with 15 rebounds.
With 15 rebounds.
And he led them with 10 a game.
Yes, and they still got out-rebounded by 6. Give them credit. And the reason I probably should have went to a 10 now that I think about it. Steve Kerr, a couple hours before the game, COVID diagnosis. Mike Brown fills in, and he was still joking like, hell, I thought we had Sacramento head coach for a second there. But give Mike Brown credit. He's done this before, Skip. I think he had to, when Steve Kerr had the back injury, the back surgery, and he filled in early in the season, and they didn't miss a beat. So give Mike Brown credit, but I'm going to give the Golden State Warriors, I gave them a 9 because they showed that, as Steph and Draymond say, that championship DNA that's embedded in those guys, they showed that last night. So I gave them a 9. I thought they would go 6, but I'm not so sure, Skip. But you know what? I'm gonna stick with 6. I had the Warriors in 6. I believe Memphis gets the home win. They go back, get closed out in Golden State. So I'm going to stick with my original prognosis, Golden State in 6. But I was very impressed with what I saw last night because Memphis had this game in control. They should be going back 2-2.
And I was thoroughly unimpressed with the home team last night. The home team won on Saturday night by 30 points.
Yes.
This should have been by 35 points. And it was by the skin of their teeth. I have no idea what that cliche means because I don't think there is any skin on your teeth. But whatever it means, we know what it actually means.
Yes.
It was by the skin of their teeth.
Yes.
That they barely prevailed. And they were horrible from 3, and so was Memphis. But Memphis was actually a little less horrible than Golden State was, if that's possible. So Steph Curry, help me out because Shanks knocked on my door too and completely discombobulated when he told me about Brady and I brought the wrong note, so I don't have my box score with me. Help me out. So what did Steph Curry, well, you can read it. You just read it to me. What did Steph wind up? Was he 4 of 14 from 3?
Yeah, he was 4 of 14 from 3, 10 of 25 overall.
10 of 25. Okay, think about this. And wasn't Clay 0 of 7 from 3?
Clay was 0 of 7, yes.
So they combined to go 4 of 21 from 3,
yes.
Right?
And throwing Andrew Wiggins 1 of 5.
Okay, the Splash Brothers combined were 4 of 21. Okay, it's just like no, no, and no, no, no.
Right.
And I got pretty offended at the end of the game. Steph, if we could see, he's down there showboating at the end of the court, like, we got this. He took a victory lap.
Yeah, he's getting hyped. Get him hyped. Get him hyped, Steph.
Yeah, do we have that, Steph? And I'm like, just stop it. Because what did you end up doing? You ended up beating a team without Ja Morant, their best player, and effectively without their second best player because, listen, Desmond Bane is locked up and locked down by his back. I can't even recognize him. He can't move anymore.
Yeah.
Do you realize he was the MVP of round number 1 against Minnesota? In 6 games, he averaged 24 points a game. In, what are we up to, 4 games. In this series, he's averaging 10 points a game. Help me out. What did he have last night?
Well, he's moving like his back hurts. Yeah. So back, he had 8 points last night.
8 points last night. So the point is that you don't have your best player, and you have a semblance, a shell of your second best player, which brings me to your third best player, one Dillon Brooks, who, speaking of discombobulated, remember, he got suspended effectively for 2 full games, which was most of game 2 and then all of game 3.
Yes.
He returned last night. Clay congratulated the fans after the game for booing him upon every possession. Every time the ball touched his hands, they're just booing the hell out of him, trying to boo him off the floor. And it worked, because look what he shot. At one point, he was 3 of 17. He made 2 late ones that didn't really matter to the final outcome. But at one point, he's 3 of 17, and he is shooting his own team right in the foot, because they were living and dying with him on defense, because he always does a pretty good job on Steph.
Well, Skip, I mean, he had him at 10 or 25. I mean,
you can't argue with that. Right. But what you can argue with, what you got on defense, you gave back on offense, because he's a nightmare on offense. And he's turning the ball over, and he's taking bad shots. He's taking silly shots. He's taking, what are you doing shots?
Well, that's what you have to do, Skip. Anytime you're facing a scorer, you got to make him work on the defensive end. So either Dillon Brooks, Baines, or Tyus Jones, they've got to make Steph work. Well, if you just let him sit back there in the campers, he's going to light you up on the other end.
So it was easy for Steph to front run in the end and then showboat at the very end, because there's no tit for a tat. There's no, can you top this? There's no, we'll go down and make one, and we'll put the pressure right back on Steph at home to rise up and play bigger than his 6 feet 3 inches, because they could not cash down the stretch, and it degenerated into, without Desmond Bane and obviously without Ja, well, all of a sudden, and obviously no Dillon Brooks, but it falls on the shoulders of one Jaren Jackson Jr., Triple J. Guess how old he is? He's still 22 years of age. He became the quote-unquote closer down the stretch. If we could see the last 3 shots he was forced to take, because on offense, they're just looking at each other like, are you going to do it or am I going to do it? Here's the first one. It's a little, he goes in the lane and lipped it out. That wasn't a bad shot. This one is pretty bad, and I think Draymond got a touch of that. He got a piece of that. That was another one. And then here's another one at the very end, and it's heavily contested by Clay. But the point was, those are their 3 shots. And the first one was to go up 1. The second one was a 3 to tie that Draymond got a little piece of. And the last 3 was to cut it to 2 with 7 seconds left, where you have a semblance of a chance anyway. Okay, so those are 3 Triple J shots, when, if Ja's on the floor, obviously, I think we know where the ball's going. And
you put the ball in Ja's hands, say, son, go make a play.
Go get a bucket. Go get a bucket. He says the play called in the sideline huddle is Ja, go get a bucket. Okay, well, that's what would have happened. You had 3 opportunities to do that.
But Skip, as you mentioned, as Ja's out, Skip, they don't really have anybody that can put the ball on the floor and just go get you a bucket. Baines can shoot the ball. Dillon Brooks can get hot and shoot the ball. Jaren Jackson is a good young player, Skip. He has to learn how to play out without getting in so much foul trouble. But they don't really have anybody that can break you down and go get a bucket, a la Ja, a la Luka Doncic, a la Jason Tatum, a la Devin Brooks. All these other teams, Skip, Giannis can go get a bucket. Or, Jimmy Butler can go get a bucket. Or we can give the ball to Harden, or we can get the ball to Joel Embiid. They don't really have anybody outside of Ja that can say, okay, here, clear out. Go 1-4, hey, do what you do. Other than Ja. Now you remove Ja, they have to play team basketball, Skip. And you look at the numbers they shot. You mentioned Dillon Brooks, 5 of 19. Jaren Jackson Jr., 7 of 21. Tyus Jones, 8 of 18. This is the game they should have won, Skip. These are the type of games that they won against Minnesota. But Golden State's not going to give you these opportunities, Skip. They held Golden State to 40% shooting from the field, 24% from the 3. That's a game you got to win.
You're up 12 with 10.5 minutes to go. You were still up 3 pretty late in the game.
With like a minute 40. I think it was a minute 40.
3. Well, both of those instances, you say, close it, close it. Well, it's up to who? I want Tyus to try to get, but he's like 6'1". There's only so much he can create by himself.
They got lazy, Skip. They were still up a basket, and then Steph gets the rebound, and he goes the length of the court, and because they're not in position, he draws the foul, and now all of a sudden they go up 2 because Steph hits both of those free throws.
And I will give Steph big credit because he's been missing some late free throws, and he did not miss.
Well, he was
What did he make his last 8?
Yeah, but Skip, he was really awful in the Nuggets series, shooting the free throw, shooting free throws.
And because you've got some demons lurking in the back of your psyche, I'm thinking, hey, maybe he'll miss at least one. He missed none. Way to go.
But if you think about this team, they scored 39 points in the fourth quarter. They shot 59% from the floor. But the one thing they do, they're not known. They got to the free throw line. Skip, this is a jump shooting team. You don't get to the free throw line shoot. But they say, nah, let's put the ball on the floor, put our head down, let's try to get to the rim, draw some fouls.
Yeah. Do you remember what I've told you again and again about games 5, 6, and 7 of 2016? 2 of the 3 at home, Steph's house.
Yes.
And in those 3 games, in the fourth quarters, he got to the free throw line 0 times.
Right.
0 times in 3 straight fourth quarters. And last night, what did he end up with in the fourth? I think he made
like 8 or 9.
8 or 9.
Yeah.
Okay, so he shot 9 free throws in just the fourth quarter last night.
Right.
And it became the difference in the game.
Skip, I think he didn't really have a choice because his 3-ball wasn't falling. He was struggling. I mean, Steph it's almost like he's thinking about it because Steph he normally just catches the ball and let it go. If you think to watch him skip now, he's taking his time. Like, just let it go, Steph. This you. We're gonna live or die with whatever you do. Shoot 20. If you make 10, fine. If you miss 15, that's fine also. But we want you to stay in rhythm. It seems like he started to think about it. And he said, well, the hell with this. I'm putting the ball on the floor. I'm going to the basket. Foul me.
And I'm going to give you this. I'm going to give Steph this. He has dramatically changed his physique fairly late in his career because he looks different to me because he's put on some good weight and some upper body muscle.
Yes.
And listen, Dillon Brooks is a handful.
Yes.
He is a load because he plays physical, up in you defense. And he was wearing on Steph, but Steph, incredibly to me, wore him down and out because in the end, Steph was getting loose on Dillon Brooks, driving the basketball.
Right.
Maybe he was just surprised, like it's almost like ambush shock factor.
Yeah, because the thing is, Skip, Steph got great handles, but you playing him for the 3 because you know he's so quick at letting the ball go.
Yeah.
But he's perpetual motion. All he does is run the entire Skip. I'm getting tired. I got to worry about Draymond sitting the pick. I got to worry about Loon sitting the pick. I got to worry about Wiggins sitting the pick, and they just back picking the hell out of it, and he's all over the court. And at some point in time, you see Dillon Brooks in the corner with his hands on his knees, and I don't blame him.
Yeah, I got it. So, after I just complimented Steph on his new physicality, I must show one play fairly late in this game, 25.9 seconds left, featuring Desmond Bane. And I just don't know about this call.
He sold it.
But this is a turning point call in the game. Here it is. The ball goes up, and there goes Desmond Bane. And I'm not sure he pushed Steph, but Steph flopped like a madman. Did he really push him? He didn't push him.
But you're talking, the moment you feel contact in the back, Skip.
Okay, and the ref is standing right on. Steph falls out of bounds on his face.
Yes.
And I'm like, he didn't push you. And you realize what just happened. Desmond Bane just put the ball back in. With 25.9 left, that would have been Memphis by 1.
Yes.
Memphis by 1. And instead, right out of that, was Steph going to the basket, getting fouled, and making 2 free throws to put Golden State up 3. So that's the turning point of the game with 25.9 seconds left. That's just wrong because and Desmond Bane plays with stoicism, so he never complains. He never does anything. He's like emotionless. but he should have just thrown a fit right there. Like, I didn't push him, but he didn't do anything.
I thought Steph was going to get up and look at the camera. I got him. I got him. Because he definitely got him, Skip.
He got him good. And that's, I'd say that's a pretty big moment in that game,
but Skip, this would have been huge. These are the type of games, Skip. They played well enough to win. These are the type of games that you want to like, man, we didn't play our best ball game, but we found a way to win. As opposed to saying we played really well and we lost.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you actually think Golden State is going to shoot this bad again from the floor? 40% from the field, 24% from 3 with those guys that they've got? Okay, you've got to find a way to win that game, Skip.
You argue that they played down to the level of the competition because you can't take them seriously.
No, man, they ain't got no job. Man, they can't hang with us. And next thing you know, here you are you in the fourth quarter and you in a ball game.
Okay, so we look back on what happened. Game 1, Ja's got a chance at the end, and he just didn't cash it.
Right.
And I thought Clay made a really sweet defensive maneuver because they knew the play was coming, that he always, as we know, goes hard left.
What's that left?
And he pushed him out a little too far and a little too deep. and Josh shot his running sort of swoop to the hoop layup
Right.
too hard and completely over the rim and off the glass.
Right.
Okay, so that's game one. Then game two, they win, but they lose Dylan Brooks for game three, which is a wipeout. And then the whole series is turning on last night, and they just came up too small in the fourth quarter because they don't have a closer.
Right.
So big picture, they didn't have Steven Adams for the first two games because of COVID.
Right.
He was on the COVID list.
Correct.
Then they lose Dylan Brooks for effectively 2 full games.
Right.
And then they lose Ja for last night,
Right.
and I have no idea what his status is going to be going forward to go back for Game 5, but I don't like their chances, so I'm going to say it's over and done.
Well, Skip, you know it comes down to playoffs. It's always been about health. And you look at, you mentioned Steven Adams. I mean, he missed a lot of the Minnesota series. And then you get Ja being out, and you get Dylan Brooks, and then you get Steve Kerr.
But then you get Desmond Bane. I don't even know when he did it. Maybe he slept wrong on it or something. But
you can tell the way he's moving. He's moving like he had a hurt back.
Yep.
He's running stiff.
Yeah, stiff. and he can't. He can't beat you off the dribble at all. And so now he's relegated to pure catch and shoot. So they're just smothering him at the three-point line because if you let him get off, he will get off hot.
And we've seen what's going on. We see what's happening in the Milwaukee series. We see what was happening in the Philly series. It's all about injuries. How healthy are you? And if you got guys that are out, how soon can they get back?
Yep.
And the thing is with the Grizz is that they picked the most inopportune. Well, it's not their fault. It's nothing you can do about it. But Ja's injury. You know, he had that knee injury, Skip. He missed, 16, 17 games the last part of the season. And then he gets it tweaked in the playoffs. And it looks like this season's probably going to come to an end because their best player is not going to be able to finish out the series.
Okay. So I'm going to call out Steph one more time. I need to see more. That was pretty good last night against a team that wasn't very good.
Man, that's the second most points he scored in the playoffs in his career. It's 18.
In the fourth quarter.
In the fourth quarter. And you talk about you want to see it.
Against whom?
Memphis Grizzlies are our playoff team.
No, they're decimated. And that they couldn't put any pressure on him in the fourth quarter. I'm fine with that, but I'm giving it a 2 on the impressive.
A 2?
Yes, it's a 2. It's no more than a 2. And yet going forward, I've told you before, I still haven't recovered from what Steph did to me in 2016 because those last 3 games were horrendous.
This is not about Steph.
Yes,
this is not about Steph. This is about GOAT James.
Okay.
You wanted him to hold GOAT back. That's what that was.
They had him 3-1. They lose Draymond for game 5.
You an English major?
Yep.
What's the difference between had and has? But we have a championship.
You have a championship thanks to little Steph Curry.
Ain't no such thing to GOAT.
Okay, he was horrendously bad in all 3 of those games, especially in those 3 fourth quarters. And what reminded me of this is that last night he was 4 of 14 from 3, which is exactly what he was in Game 7 at Oracle in the 2016 finals.
Yeah.
4 of 14.
Put that hawk
and then
on him.
in the fourth quarter, he went 1 of 6 from the field and 1 of 5 from 3. And here came LeBron and Kyrie.
That's what we do.
That's what you do?
That's what the GOAT does.
Really?
Got 11 down the stretch. Triple dub.
Really?
Chase down block, the greatest block in NBA history. It's been pegged that, Skip. Now, so you can't go back and try to add a block or add a defensive play. It's greater. It's greater than Havlicek stole the ball. It's greater than anything that you've seen in NBA history. We got it on our resume.
Really? Well, you and JR, he's got it on his resume because he's the one who initiated it because it was a bicycle built for 2.
You're such a hater. You got to let that go.
No, well, it's just a fact because JR cut off Iggy at the pass and forced him inside and then slowed him up. He was going to dunk it. And then he says, well, I guess I got to shoot a layup now. And LeBron swooped in and ambushed. It was an ambush block from behind.
Commissioner Gordon put that phone call into it.
He never does it from the front.
Yes, he does.
Straight on.
You remember Tiago Splitter tried to poke on him?
I can out-jump Tiago. I can jump. My feet will go higher off the ground than Tiago's will go off the ground.
Man, you a hater.
Well, it's just the truth. And then Steph turns around and goes into the Toronto series, and he just kept missing shots. He missed one in the closeout Game 6 at home to win the game.
Can we come to the conclusion now that a great player is not beating a great team or a really good team? And we're seeing this in the playoffs. We've seen this. Don't take anything away from KD, but the Celtics were a better team. As a matter of fact, let me take something, because Jason Tatum was the best player on the floor. Jason Tatum was the best player on the floor in that series. Am I correct?
In which series?
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn? Well, yeah, their defense was the best unit on the floor.
Was Jason Tatum the best player in that series in Brooklyn? It's a simple yes or no question.
I haven't seen a sighting of Jason Tatum until the fourth quarter of last night.
Did you see him last night?
I did, finally, but Al Horford opened that door.
First of all, you saw him in game 2 also. Stop pretending like you didn't see him in game 2.
He was okay, but they were all good in that game. We'll talk about that in a moment.
Yeah. I gave Steph a 9.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.